This is Cadet Gabrovic and Cadet Gant's Deliverable 1 Part B. In this video, we are going to cover the capabilities of our model, the graphics that are in our model and what they represent, as well as the limitations and significant assumptions that we had to make. This is our budget counseling tool. First, this will read the directions over here. Each of these different colored boxes has a direction with it. So for example, the purple box is where there are going to be drop-down bars where you can answer the questions. The orange boxes mean that you need to actually fill in the number by yourself. Yellow boxes indicate that the function is doing it on its own, so you don't need to fill any of this out. The green boxes just means that it's an intake, and then the red boxes just mean that they're expenses. After the soldier reads the directions, what they'll have to do is come down here to actually answer the questions. So what you can see is over here in this left column, you have the question that you're supposed to answer as well as outputs. So what you can do, for example, since this is a purple box, it's a drop down, and you can go ahead and change your answer depending on what the question is. So you can change this, and you can tell that it's changing your salary. You can also come over here at this question where it asks things like what your post is. You can change your post, and you can tell that this is also going to be changing that value down here, which tells you what your BAH is. You also have things like what your BAH with dependence is versus what it is without dependence. Here you can see what your state tax rate is depending on what you choose, and what it's going to do here is the tax that you pay for your state, and also depending on if you're married or single, you could see the federal taxes that you're going to be paying for that state. Here, these are orange inputs, so that means that you're going to have to actually put these numbers in yourself. So you can change these numbers depending on what exactly it is that you pay every month. For example, like what you pay for your water bill, and you'll see that this goes down to the total cost of living. You can come to this chart here, which is going to help you figure out how much money you make on the GI Bill. You can choose where the school is that you're located, which is going to change how much the GI Bill will cover. You can come and change here for how long you've been in, which will tell you the percentage that the GI Bill will cover. Down here, what you're going to be putting is how much you are going to be saving for retirement. And you can see that depending on how much you decide to save a month, that's going to be changing how much you retire with. And then lastly, over here in this, for the personal financial part, you could put in how much you're investing in a Roth IRA, for example, and what the interest rate is, and then it'll come out. Here, we can change this interest rate, and it'll change how much money a month that you're making. Lastly, if you come here, it'll show you how much you spend a month. It will show you how much you make a month, and finally what your net worth is. And it'll give you this answer here telling you if you're financially healthy or not. So in this case, you are not financially healthy. And then finally, this is your total benefits, which shows you what all your assets are worth. The last little bit down here is a visual representation, so it'll show you what exactly you're spending your money on and how much that you're making a month. And these will change depending on what you input up at the top. Lastly, I'm going to quickly talk about the limitations and assumptions that we had to make. For example, the taxes that we have only accounts for if you're married or single, not if you're in any other sort of relationship. There's many other brackets you could be under. Also, you could have way more inputs for your living expenses, for example, but it would just be unreasonable to have a list of every single thing that you could be potentially spending your money on. We're also assuming for the GI Bill, for example, that you don't come from an academy because you get no money on the GI Bill if you do come from an academy. Lastly, we had to severely cut back on what you invest in over here. For example, this is just Roth IRA, stocks, and bonds, but there are many other things that you could be investing in. This concludes our budget counseling tool. Thank you for watching.